Hello. Good morning, students. Hello.
Hello.
Good
Good morning, ma'am.
How are you all?
Fine, ma'am.
Fine. Okay.
Yes,
Can you?
ma'am.
So you are coming to Zoom for the first time?
No, ma'am.
No. Already. You know how we are taking class in Zoom? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
So you all got my PPT?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
All right. So let us start. Okay. So please see if one more instruction. Those who are having some background noise and talking and all, please mute yourself. All right. Otherwise, it is very
Yes.
disturbing for me to take class. So let us start with today. I'll be dealing with therapeutic communication. All right. So basically, you know what is a therapy means for the treatment or care. You know. So you remember my first class on communication? I told you basically as a nurse we have to know how to have a very good communication, how to build a trust and rapport with the patients. So this is how in therapeutic communication we will go a little bit deep, like how we can maintain a good communication with the patient. So if you see the definition for therapeutic communication, it is the interpersonal interaction between the nurse and the client. Here we are meaning about client is the patient. Here who are the clients for us are the patients. All right. So the basic interaction between a nurse and a patient, and during where the nurse basically focuses on the need. What type of need? Say suppose already you have already gone to the hospital, you know what is the scenario in a hospital. So basically patients will tell you about their need, either maybe a difficulty in taking food, maybe difficulty in elimination, maybe difficulty in sleeping. So these are the some of the basic needs the patient will tell us. So when we are when we are getting into a therapeutic communication, basically we as a nurse we have to identify what is the specific need of the patient and how we can able to promote or how we can able to complete his need, all right, or complete his demand. Now next, if you see another way of defining therapeutic communication, it is also an interpersonal interaction between the nurse and the client, where the nurse focuses on client's specific needs to promote an effective exchange of information. See, until and unless the nurse is able to identify the need of the patient, if he is not she or he is not able to identify the need of the patient, then we will not tell that the therapeutic communication has occurred. You as a nurse have to identify, you as a nurse have to prioritize his need, then only we will understand. Okay, suppose a patient is complaining of pain. Now as a nurse, if you are not able to identify that the patient is in pain, the patient is in agony, the patient is in having fear, anxiety, then your communication will be incomplete. So you have to understand his specific need, you have to understand what type of information he is going to share to you or ventilate to you, then only our therapeutic communication will be able to meet the demand and the need of the patient. Now another feature is skilled use. Help the nurse understand and emphasize. It is here, it is emphasize, the spelling it should be S, emphasize with the client's experience. Yes, see, all this therapeutic communication or cooperation will develop slowly, may not be in first year level, but maybe in second year, third year, when you are going to collect the history properly, when you are talking to the patient properly, then you will understand more and you can able to emphasize the client's experience more, his need more. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us go to the goals of therapeutic communication. What are the specific goals when we are developing a therapeutic communication with our patients? What are the basic goals? First of all is you try to maintain and establish or build a rapport with the nurse and client. There should be a good IPR, interpersonal relationship, which should develop that will establish a good therapeutic relationship. Then, as I mentioned to you already, you have to identify the patients, identify the concern, the client-centered goal. You should not be only talking to you, talking. You should be a very good active listener, a good observer. Then only you will see that you are collecting the need, and you can able to specify the prioritized need of the patient. Then you have to assess the client's perception of the problem. Say suppose, as I always I used to tell to my students, that all 5 fingers are not equal. Similarly, patients explanation about the problem may not be same or may not be equal. Some patients may be with 80% of pain, he is able to adjust, or he is able to be in a position without restlessness, without like shouting, screaming. But some patients, maybe you will see with 30% pain also, she might be or he might be screaming in bed, crying, right, fisting, facial expression, shouting. So it depends how a person's perception towards the problem, it will that will depend. And these type of feature is on another goal of therapeutic communication. We have to assess the client's perception of the problem as it as a as it as it is involved. See, I told you that I don't want any kind of noise, huh? Please mute yourself. Okay. So when we are going to identify the client's need or perception of the need, then we can also identify the thoughts and feeling about the situation. As I just now told you, that sometimes in fever the patient might be very silent. He might be very annoyed. What will happen? Why he is developing fever, right? Or maybe the situation in case of pain, maybe a post-operative patient after the operation, maybe with little bit of pain also, he is showing his agony, he is disturbed, he is not able to sleep. So depends on the situations. We have to assess the client's problem, and you as a nurse have to identify those problems. Okay. Next, some more are that facilitate the client's expressions of emotions. Yes, that is also a very important part in therapeutic communication. You have to identify the emotions that is there with the problem of the patient. All people are emotional. Okay, some we cannot say that all are strong. We all people have emotions. So and in psychology you are reading about emotions. So we also have to facilitate the client's expression of emotions. Sometimes so they may be started crying, they may be started with agony, they are started shouting, right? So these problem also we have to handle as a nurse. Then next is the teach the client and family necessary self-care skills. Some of the patients, like with little bit of problem also, they want the assistance. No, that also is not good. We also have to, as a rehabilitation, we also have to make them like to be independent to do all his activities of daily living, like maybe dressing, eating, then maybe bathing. Okay, then maybe taking oral fluids alone, or maybe walking ambulation. So those things also, the self care, taking care, hygiene. So those things also we need to encourage, and even we need to teach our patients. Then recognize the client's need. That is one of the most common parameter or feature of therapeutic communication. And then guide the client towards identifying a plan of action to a satisfying and socially acceptable situation. Yes, you, like in nursing process, if you have been taken the class of nursing process, you know that planning. So planning of any problem or planning intervention is always not alone, it is with the patient. So both the nurse and the patient plans the interventions, and then togetherly they try to do the implementation. So as a nurse, as a nurse, you also have to guide them, like how they are able to socially accept, yes, the particular situation they are suffering from. Is it clear to you up to this?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
okay, now this communication, already I told, already the class has been taken. It is a process that people use to exchange information. Messages are simultaneously sent and received in two levels. All right. Then you know verbal communication with the use of words, non-verbal by the behaviors that accompany the words. Okay. Already this has been highlighted to you before. Now one new thing that you are all we have to understand is a congruent message. What do you understand by congruent message? It is the content and the process, it should agree. Like how you are communicating, whether you are communicating with a text message or whether you are communicating with verbal message, and what type of content you are sharing. What is the message about? So both should agree. Both the content and the process of your communication should be partially agree, should be fully agree. It should be parallel to each other. Say example, a client says or a patient says, I know I have not been myself, right? I need help. So I know that I am not able to, I am sick, I am not able to do my own care, I need help. So by the look of the patient also we agree that she's sad, her facial expression looks to be sad, and she's genuine. Whatever she is telling, she is genuine and sincere. Her with the voice, whatever she is speaking, she is sincere, she is honest, and she is also having the facial expression. So both the content and the process, it agrees. So that is called as congruent message. Is it clear to you? This is an absolutely new term to you. Is it clear? What is a congruent
Yes, ma'am.
message?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Now incongruent, just opposite to this. Okay? Where the content and the process disagree. When the speaker says and what he or she says doesn't agree with each other. Like maybe a patient is telling, sister, I'm having tremendous pain in my back, right? But that is what he is giving you the message. But when you are assessing the patient, you are not getting that pain. The patient can move around, right? Patient can walk around, patient has no discomfort at all. So it is incongruent. So as a nurse, when you are doing or maintaining or developing a therapeutic relationship, whether it is a congruent message given by the patient or whether it is an incongruent message given by the patient, you also have to assess that. All right. Okay. Next. Now, therapeutic communication can help the nurse to accomplish many goals. Now, what are the goals? First of all, to develop and establish a good nurse-patient relationship, it's called a therapeutic nurse-patient relationship. Then you have to identify the patient's need, patient's emotion. Then you have to also assess the client's perception. Then you have to facilitate, like how much you are able to solve his or her problem based on his or her need. Then you have to teach the patient, not only the patient, even the family, for the self-care skills. Then you have to recognize the patient's problem. You have to recognize whether he is having an delivering an congruent message or delivering an incongruent message. And at last, we have to guide so that a successful recovery, a successful discharge of the patient can we can accomplish or we can achieve through our therapeutic communication when the patient is in hospital. Now, another new term, this is for you, which is also as a part of therapeutic communication, is proxemics. What is this proxemics means? It is the distance, it is a study of distance zones between people when we communicate. Now, under proxemics, there are 4 distance zones. Now, something out of the topic, let me ask you one thing. Now, as we are suffering, or as we are in the midst of the pandemic, right? Which pandemic it is? COVID-19. Yes? Okay. So, in above these 4 distance zones, intimate zone, personal zone, social zone, public zone, which social zone we are able to maintain here? We are supposed to maintain as per the guidelines. Answer me. Which zone? Which zone, as a part of the guidelines for the prevention tips of COVID-19? Which zone we are?
Distancing, ma'am.
Yes. So social zone, right? Social distancing.
Yes.
So minimum how much feet you have to be separate from your friends, or maybe the person, neighbors. How much feet?
1 meter.
1 meter.
1 meter.
1 meter, ma'am.
1 meter. Feet kiman? 6 feet. So minimum
6
6
feet.
feet. Yes. So here number 3, that is social zone, 4 to 12 feet. Right. So here in COVID-3, see, these are not something that is new, that is developed for COVID-19. These are all already in the study of the distance zones, and it is called as proxemics. And now whatever is there in the theory, it is now coming as a practical scenario or practical basis for us. Right. Yes, Rita, are you having some question? Hello, Rita. You raise your hand. Are you having some question? May not be. Okay. Hello, let me continue. All right. So 4 distance zone as per the proximus, that is the distance of study of distance zones. 4 distance zones we have to keep in mind even when we develop a therapeutic communication among our patient, or even with the family or friends. One is the intimate zone. It is the distance is 0 to 18 inches between people, especially the parents with their young children. So they are very cozy with their parents, with the mother and father, and that is what is a very intimate zone. Then personal zone, 18 to 36 inches. Then family and friends who are talking. So we try to maintain a distance of personal zone of 18 to 36. Now here, when we talk about the social distancing, it is 4 to 12 feet. And for COVID-19, we have to minimum maintain 1 meter, that is 6 feet distance from anyone in social meeting, in workplace, in business settings, everywhere. Right. And lastly is the public zone, where 12 to 25 feet distance we have to maintain, that is speaker and an audience. Whenever I take a class or your teacher take a class and you're sitting in a group, we're trying to maintain that particular feet distance. Then small groups, audience, then other informal functions. So that is the public zone or public gathering, where we have a conference or lecture. We try to maintain this feet of distance. So that is proximus is the study of distance zones between people and the way they communicate with the group or the other people. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is a new term for you, that is proximus. Next is touch. Even in therapeutic communication, we sometimes say that our hands, when you touch a patient who is sick, a patient who is injured, a patient who is terminally ill, your touch may be sometimes a cure for the patient. Sometimes the patient is so satisfied by the comfort touch by a nurse, or maybe a person who is taking care of the patient, a healthcare provider. So touch also can be divided into 5 types. Functional professional touch. Yes, when a doctor or a nurse examine or do some procedure, we try to maintain a functional professional touch. There we are not having an emotional touch. You go and with the stethoscope, you check the heart auscultation, your heart sound, lung sound, or maybe the pulse you check, or maybe the respiration you check, or maybe you are checking the reflexes. So all these will be the functional professional touch. Then social polite touch is used when we greet a patient, or when we greet our friends, or we greet someone, we do the handshake. But now this handshake is also been restricted by the COVID-19 guidelines. You do namaste, because to maintain the social distance, the social polite touch, greeting, shaking hands. Oh my goodness. Then friendship warm touch. It's a hug. After so much long time, you are meeting a good friend, we just try to hug him, or maybe our family members, or maybe some relatives are coming. So we try to give a hug. So that is a friendship warm touch. Then love, intimacy touch, tight hugs and kisses between lovers or close relatives. Then sexual arousal touch used by the lovers. So these are the some of the touch even that is made in therapeutic communication. Now here you can see the different types of touch: functional touch, social touch, right? Close contact touch, okay, lovers touch. So these ABCD are depicted in a pictorial representation. Next is your coming to active listening, which is also a very, very crucial part or feature of therapeutic communication. You should be an active listener. Means what? You have to refrain, means refraining from other internal mental activities and concentrate exclusively on what the client says. Here you should not have any disturbance. Even your mental strength, or you should be as a person, your mental strength should be concentrating only on patients, what the patient is communicating to you. Even your mental activity should not be disturbed by this listening, right? There should not be any obstruction or any hindrance while you are actively listening to the client or to your patient. That is what is active listener. And as a nurse, if you want to be a very hello, please mute yourself. If you want to have a if you want to maintain or develop a very good therapeutic communication, then you should be a very active listener. You know, a good listener always will have a good idea about the patient's problem, patient's emotional context. Next, active observation. Yes, you also should be a very good observer. Means what? Active observation means watching the speaker's non-verbal actions as he or she communicates. So when the patient is communicating, right, you also have to simultaneously understand his gesture, his posture, how he is looking, whether he is looking anxious, whether he is looking whether he is in pain, or whether he is in agony, or whether he is in very angry mood. So you, while talking only, you have to make that judgment, right? Because that is also a part of your assessment, active observation of what is being perceived or what is being depicted on the patient. So you, as a nurse, you have to be a good observer, you have to be a good listener. Then, yes, conditions affecting communications. What are the various conditions? It may be, as a nurse, it may be in us, but it should not be a barrier, or maybe not be a condition which can affect our communication with our patients or maybe the family. One thing is your values. You should always have a value which always respect the client's dignity, respect the client's just you have to be a good judge on the client, you have to be a good advocate on your client. So you should be having a good values, then you should have a very good positive attitude. You should not have false beliefs, right? Your perception should be good. You should not discriminate between any culture or religion. All are equal for us because we are healthcare provider. We should not have differentiation between a culture or religion. We should all have to understand that all patients are equal for us, irrespective of their caste, creed, sex, etc. Then social status, even social status also we have to respect, whether the patient is coming from a very VIP family or maybe a below poverty level family, all are equal for us because patient is patient. Then gender also, we should not have some inequality over gender. Then age, you should consider same, like when you are taking care of an infant, same way you have to take care of an elderly or adult, right? There should not be any discrimination on age or developmental level. And then why here developmental level? Because when you will be in third year, you will read about the pediatric nursing and psychiatric nursing. Sometimes you will see that some people may not have high intelligence, they may be sometimes mentally retarded. So there, that is a problem in developmental growth and development. So we should not discriminate any bias over the age and developmental level. And lastly is the environment. The environment should be absolutely noise free.
Yes, ma'am.
And you should get a good environment so that you develop a therapeutic communication in a better way with your clients. Is it clear to you? Yes? Please respond.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now these are the some of the features or maybe the conditions where we as a or maybe some of the behaviors as a nurse, if you have, you can enhance communication with your clients, with your colleagues, with your peers. So as I told you that you have to be a good listener, you have to be a good observer. Set means silence. Sometimes we have friends or we have relatives, like only they go on speaking, they don't give us a chance to talk, right? So you better, first of all, you have to be silenced. Then once the person or the another party has complete, okay, have you done with your thing, now let me speak. So silence. So once you are silent, you can able to understand what his or her problem in a good way. You can be able to even keep in your mind what the patient has told to you. Then support, you also have a feeling of supportiveness, and you have to know how to reassure the patient. Then sharing observations, some of the observations you will jot down. Maybe some of the observations you may not be able to solve by yourself, you then have to report to your supervisor or your teacher or maybe the senior. Then acknowledge feeling. Okay, sometimes the patient, I am, sister, I'm not feeling good today, I'm very low today, I don't know why I'm not able to go to my office, I'm sick for so many days. So you have to acknowledge that. You should know how to reply. Okay, I understand, I hear you, I know, I can able to understand your feelings, I really want to support you. So like that, you have to acknowledge the patient, and try to always ask a broad open-ended statement, so that you can able to find out what is his feelings, what is his emotions, how he is feeling right now when he is in hospital. So then next, the information giving. While you are giving an information, also you should not give any false information, false belief to your patient. Whatever information you are giving, it should be true to the patient's recovery and treatment and progress. And then interpretation, so whatever the patient will interpret, he or she or you also may, whatever you are interpreting towards the patient's problem, that should be correct interpretation, right? So these are the some of the
Yes, ma'am.
features where we can enhance our communication. If you really want to have a good communication, we have to keep all these features in mind. Then some of the things, like another part, as a nurse we have to remember that sometimes if it is not clear, you try to restate the statements every time. Okay, can you repeat? Actually, sorry, I did not get you, can you repeat whatever problems you are telling me? Sorry, I did not get you. So this is the way you should know how to restate your statements to the problem, so that the patient can again narrate to you his or her problem. Then reflecting, you should know how to reflect the client's problem. Whenever there is doubt, you should know how to clarify, how to confront, and then offer the alternative. These are the various ways, which one will be correct or which one you are able to maintain. So these are the ways, like alternative ways also you can offer. Then any time that you are having any doubt, you should clear, so like voicing doubt. So any doubt if you are having, then immediately you should clear your doubt. And sometimes you have to know also, because you will see like continuously in patient care area, maybe the high dependency unit or intensive care unit, which is already a very tensed unit. So sometimes as a nurse you can have some humor, but you also have to remember that use cautiously and discreetly, because nobody should feel bad when if you are cracking any joke, or if you are sharing any funny thing. So we should not hurt anybody's we should not hurt anybody's mind, and that things we have to remember while even cracking a joke, putting some humors. All right, and these are all as a part of therapeutic communication while developing a very good trust, rapport, mutual understanding towards the patient. Now, non-therapeutic communication. Sometimes, yes, you may tell that after so much of try, ma'am, then also the patient is not able to trust me. Patient is not cooperative. We get to see like some patients are very uncooperative, right? When we tried a lot, but he is not sharing anything. So non-therapeutic communication, how it can be. Don't put his advice. All the time if you are advising, he or she may feel bad. So you should know to agree. Whatever he is telling, okay, I understand, I agree with you. So this is also the way of developing good therapeutic communication. Then belittling things. You should not, whatever the patients tell to you, he should not feel that whatever he is telling, it is not important to you. Belittling means unimportant feeling. So he should get a very respectful job. He should have a dignity among the professionals, and that is what he should feel is important. Then sometimes it may be a challenging task for the nurses. You should know how to defending. You should know how to, even sometimes some of the things you may not like, but you should know how to disagree also in a very sweet manner. So sometimes it may be disapproving, right? Sometimes it may be probing. So you are always want to prove yourself that I am the best. So that things also should be avoided. So that these are some of the things, if you are facing or if you are developing, then definitely it will give a very non-therapeutic communication among the patient and among us. So with this, I think that was my last slide. So any doubt if you have, kindly ask me. Still I have 6 minutes time. Anyone, any doubt if you have? All understood about therapeutic communication? What does it mean?
Yes.
What are the various goals we have to remember while developing therapeutic communication? How we can enhance therapeutic communication? What is a congruent message? What is a non-congruent message? Yes? All clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Sure.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Listen, and don't every now we are having vacation. June you may have exams. All right. Did your teacher told you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
So you go through the contents properly and try to get touch with all. Okay. And if you are having any doubts, you try to ask your teachers so that they can just give you some notes or maybe extra classes. Okay. So with this, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Stay safe. Well, don't.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.